Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson.
And we are so glad that you have chosen to dedicate some 27 and a half minutes to
Out of their busy lives.
Things that we can yammer about and have a little fun with.
And you weren't here last week.
Where was I at?
I don't know. You didn't show up.
Yeah, you snuck in a Social Security issue there, and,
right.
I hope everybody got a good education out of that. I think that worked out very well, and we certainly extend an invitation. Hey, to our viewing audiences, if there's something you want to talk about, and you can talk about it for 27 minutes, and keep the foul language to a minimum, or drop us a line, and we'll certainly hook you up. You know, if it's a matter that the folks in Santa Rosa County or the surrounding area would have an interest in, absolutely. This show is, whatever comes along, and so.
And we also have a few spots left for advertisers.
Yes.
Limited space is still available.
Yeah, we do have some spots left for advertising. So if anyone would, anywhere from free to $3,000 a minute,
Yeah. I guarantee we can beat Channel 3 rates.
You think?
I guarantee it.
Well, Deborah, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, as you know, the Blackwater Correctional Facility, the private profit prison in East Milton, is now completed. And we got a little pep talk on that at the Monday County Commission meeting.
Right. You mean you're referring to the prison that nobody in the judicial system or prison system asked for?
Right.
You mean the one that Ray Sanson stuck in below the radar in a pile of papers? Is that the one you're referring to?
I'm referring to the one that was apparently a surprise to the Florida Department of Corrections when they heard that they were going to be overseeing it.
Apparently it was a surprise to quite a few people.
Yeah.
Of course, at some certain closed-door, sunshine violating meetings at Team Santa Rosa, there was some folks there that knew about it.
Yeah. Well, what we were told was that there are going to be 350 jobs now filled in the East Milton area with this prison opening up.
Let's go over the numbers because, folks, Deborah has done some ciphering, and I think you'll be really impressed with the numbers. So let's go over the total cost of what we've got in this prison now.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the cost per job.
Right.
And the public subsidies that have been poured into this into this facility. $130.7 million was the total cost to bond out the construction.
Right. That was the money that came underneath the table, apparently, over there in Tallahassee, Florida. Ray Sanson, and I'm certain several other people knew about it.
Yeah. Now the budget, remember the line item, the budget item was $110 million.
Right.
But Florida taxpayers have to pay interest on that when they bond it out.
Right.
And it works out to, the total is going to work out to about $130 million over the bond period.
For all of those in law enforcement that are seeking out the answers to how this occurred, I just want to give you a big hi-ho and continue your search.
We'd like to know too.
It started in Tallahassee and it ended in Santa Rosa County, so I wish you the best of luck. But I think there's plenty of, as they say, breadcrumbs out there.
There's quite a trail, quite the trail. Well, and let's also mention that this prison was cooked up or whatever at a time where there's actually decreasing number of people in Florida being incarcerated.
Right.
A
downward trend in the number of incarcerations.
Right.
Certainly, over the last 2 or 3 years, we've had a population decrease across the state. So less people coming to Florida means less criminals coming to Florida.
Well, and this was, remember, a couple weeks ago, this provoked a crisis where they said, "Oh no, we're not going to have enough prisoners for this new expensive prison. Let's close down other prisons and move them out to Milton."
Well, it just goes to show you how ill-conceived this whole thing was.
Yeah.
You see, they thought, and I'll let law enforcement determine who they is, But they thought that they could slide this money, taxpayer folks, taxpayer money, your money.
Now the profits that Geo Group makes will not be our money.
No.
That will not be accruing to taxpayers.
Your tax dollars was handed over to a private for-profit corporation. Now I have to give my hardware speech again.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about opening up a hardware. And if the taxpayers will buy me a building, stock the shelves, and give me money to operate it for the next 5 years, I can compete with Home Depot.
And send you a steady stream of customers who all want to buy the most expensive hammer
Exactly.
that's available.
Yeah, also furnish me a couple thousand customers a day to buy what I'm selling.
Exactly.
You know, hey, it's good work if you can get it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice business if you can get into it.
But so we had 130 million.
130.7 million
Right.
was the price to bond out the construction.
Right.
22.6 million allocated this year for operations.
Right.
That's just this year.
Right, folks. Listen carefully. 22.6 million. Hey, we'll build you the prison. We'll hand you the keys. We'll furnish you with the property. We'll put the fence around it. And oh, by the way, here's $22.6 million for you to pay the salaries of the people that you're going to hire to work there. So you won't have to worry about anything. We're going to take care of you, and you just count the heads up, and we will send you $42 or $43 per prisoner per day directly into your private for-profit checking account.
Right. AKA flushing it down the toilet. And there was also a $2.4 million local
Santa Rosa County.
Yeah, that was local. And City of Pensacola, City of Milton subsidy that was quote unquote economic development incentives.
Right, and before you give that big number out, I want to say that what we're hearing, don't hold me to this, folks, but what we're hearing is somewhere in the neighborhood of about a $24,000 a year job, give or take a few thousand. That will be the range of the salaries out there. So
they said 30 at some point, but I'll have to see that in writing.
Yeah, Deborah, in your ciphering, what did you come up with that this costs the taxpayers per job?
Well, that's about $150 million.
All right.
And that's just this year, because remember, every year there's
reoccurring money's going to them every year.
There's going to be another, I'm guessing, upwards of $22 million.
Right. Absolutely.
We're not even including
we should not expect as taxpayers for a private for-profit corporation to fund their own operation.
Right.
I mean, I can't believe that there's any taxpayer that would object to that.
Well, that's the operations contract.
He says sarcastically.
Yeah, I mean, they would say that it's cheaper to pay them $22 million a year than for the prison system to absorb them in already built prisons and operations that are already underway. That's a whole other argument. So that's about 150 odd million, 155 million divided by 350 jobs is a grand total of about $440,000 per job. Public subsidy.
Right.
To bring this, plus whatever profits Geo Group pulls out of the
government. Well, that actually is going to cost us more than that, because we're gonna have people that's going to be no longer working for the state, and they'll have to find a different job. And that number's going to go up.
Well, and we often hear about socialism and welfare queens when we're talking about the quote unquote entitlement programs that some of our elected officials like to think need to go away. But let's not forget, this is now an industry that produces nothing. They're producing absolutely nothing. They're not selling anything overseas and bringing a quote-unquote revenue stream anywhere near the United States.
They have found a good